Hello. So this is a familiar setting for us actually, but we are not in fact driving today. We are on our stand at the NEC, and we thought we'd have a little sit down and digest what happened along our trip.
Since we put our video out, obviously Rich has announced the full results for the challenge in terms of the mileage cover, which we knew we won that, and the point score. We came second in the point scoring to Jurassic Park in the C5, and ultimately the grand total we were getting on for 300 points.
Yeah,
leading.
300 points in the lead.
Yeah, so I think Rich said before the start of the challenge, wow, someone might break 1,500 points here. Well, we got 1,266 points from mileage alone.
Yeah.
So we're obviously very proud of that. So it showed that our little plan to head for Germany worked.
We spoke to Rich, obviously after the challenge, because we did a little story on it for Classic Car Buyer, and he kind of gave a quote on the whole summary, and he said, secretly, the Merc was his favourite to win from day one because it was fast enough, it was refined and economical enough, and it was easy enough to hold at high speed like we did.
But I mean, this isn't particularly about us, is it? This is more about what this car has achieved over a 24-hour
About what
period.
this car has achieved and what all 5 teams achieved, because we've actually neglected to mention thus far that we eclipsed the goal, didn't we?
Yeah,
we made the £24,000 from donations alone, and with gift aid it came up to something like 27?
Over 28,000.
Over 28,000.
That's immense.
And how much is that? I think you said from Kitch's previous 2 live streams.
So combined, because he's done 2 more prior to this when he did a 24-hour and a 25-hour as a follow-up, and in total, including this year's one as well, he's raised around £54,000 for Sophie's legacy. So that is round of applause, Kitch. Well done. That's fantastic, and please do go and look at Sophie's legacy and support that because it is fantastic.
So really, when I say it's about the car, it's really about the charity. But
it is. I think that we should pay tribute to this car though for what we put it through. I mean, let's be honest. We when we decided we wanted to do this challenge, we wanted something comfortable. We wanted something refined, relatively economical. We were originally looking for a Citroen CX, to be honest, but we couldn't find the right car at the right money.
We already had a leaning towards a Mercedes because I think the original plan was to do it in your W124, wasn't it? And then you thought, hang on a minute, let's not paste a car for 24 hours straight in my own car.
In my own car. So I sort of said, oh, well, let's have a look at Mercedes, but let's try 124 because obviously 123 content, there's a lot of it on the channel. So we searched around, we shopped around. We wanted a reasonable car, but we didn't really want to pay the earth for one.
Well, you didn't want a Minter, did you?
You tracked this one down on Auto Trader, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you don't really think of Auto Trader for looking for older cars sometimes.
Not necessarily.
So it was an interesting find, but of course we kind of missed out on a 300, didn't we?
Yeah, that went through Anglia Car Auctions. It was a 300T 4MATIC with, was it 330,000 miles on the clock?
323,000 miles.
Yeah, and invoices for £160,000.
Yeah.
So maybe that car was probably sort of had too much history.
Almost too much to lose with that one.
Yeah. We wanted a car that was mechanically sound, perhaps not immaculate.
Yeah.
And I think we found that really well.
We found it here because this car had been traded in at Mercedes Specialist in Reading. The invoices with it are like that. But, it had a bit of grot on the rear arches, and he was only getting rid of it because of the dreaded ULEZ.
Yeah.
Which meant we got this car for a very fair price. We paid under £2,000 for it. And, I mean, you and I said when we went to look at it, cosmetically it was okay, but he just drove so nicely.
And the inside is clean too.
It's lovely inside,
The inside is still in a very nice place to be.
Well, I wasn't there. I mean, but I'm going to get the impression that you knew pretty much straight away that this was the one.
You know when you get a good vibe off of it? Yeah. And that was it. So we did the deal, and I drove it back over 100 miles, 30-degree heat that day, and it was good as gold. Temperature gauge didn't budge. It drove beautifully. It sipped the petrol. It was just lovely. And to be honest, we did the usual prep. We did the service. We checked the tyres, and it just, the whole time I was working on it, it gave the impression of a car that had been looked after. It didn't fight back. There was nothing seized. There was nothing apart from that oil filter.
What was the most difficult job? Probably the fuel pump.
Well, I did the oil filter was a right sod to get off because I had to use extension on extension, and it was really tight in there. Although having done the oil again since we got back, it wasn't that much easier to take it off this time. So I wonder if that is just a characteristic of where it is.
Thing,
but
you just don't know your own strength.
I'm just exactly just a behemoth. And off camera, it's also had a fuel filter and a fuel pump. And which was fine. The fuel pump took a bit of faffing around because I had to keep taking O-rings off and changing them because it kept leaking fuel every time I clicked it over. But we got that done, and again, it was good as gold on the trip.
I mean, there's some stuff that didn't actually make it into the video. Joe, you want to tell us about your little escapade on the way out of the industrial estate?
Yes. So we had the mileage tracking app. So what you saw in the video was that the flag dropped, and Jeff was still putting his drinks can in the bin, and we ran, grabbed the challenges, and from that moment we jumped in the car, fired it up into drive, go. I mean, the car was hot. We didn't rag it from cold, but we just got going. We were at the industrial estate first. but we hadn't actually set the little mileage tracking app running. So knowing we're still in industrial state, I don't encourage you to do this, but I threw the car across the side of the road, blocked both lanes to stop the other teams getting round us while I went on my phone and got the app going. And I wasn't driving at the time, so I could use my phone. And that kind of indicative of the kind of use this car got. I mean, when you two were in the hospital doing the drop-off, I was doing loops of the industrial estate where the hospital was just to pile the miles on. It never really got much of a break.
We picked Guildford Hospital, which was absolutely the right decision. And they were wonderful, and they made our drop-off so quick and easy.
Yeah, we were just straight in and straight out. We didn't even have to worry about reception, really. We just found where we were going.
But on a normal day, it would have been a wonderful decision. But of course, they'd closed the M3 junction to the M25. So we got sent into sort of up towards Wimbledon direction, and quite a lot of traffic because of the diversion.
Quite a bit. But then once we hit M20, the dreaded M25 actually wasn't all that bad.
It looked after us.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah. I mean, for a Saturday afternoon, it was more or less fun.
And the M20 the same. So
we got to the Eurotunnel in good time. Obviously, we stopped at a few different racetracks and things. And you've said this before. I think the decision to go flexi on the Eurotunnel was what made the competition for us, because we got there. We had to go. We bumped into Team Subaru,
but we overtook Team Subaru.
But we overtook them because we went through security, but we ended up ahead of them. I mean, we got into France, and it just got into its stride straight away, and we were ready to go 80 miles an hour. It was barely breathing on the thing. And as soon as we were on German Autobahn territory, which was our plan the whole time, we were playing it out weeks before the trip. We were up to 100 miles an hour and often quite a lot more.
We couldn't see actually at one stage.
No,
because we put the beam deflectors in slightly the wrong place.
We had to stop and rearrange those. But
we couldn't actually see where we were going for some of it.
Once we were into Germany, the thing was up to 100 miles an hour. What's it doing? 4,500, 5,000 revs at that point, and it just exactly a 32-year-old car. I mean, it's not high mileage, but a 32-year-old car that we've only known for a matter of weeks, and it sits at 100, 110 miles an hour. And it's into its stride, and it just felt easy.
Is this where we reveal that our planning wasn't all that scientific, was it? It was.
No, the plan was to sort of drive and continue driving.
There was a plan.
In the place that would let us drive the furthest and the fastest, which, was plan as they go.
But we had 3 routes planned, and then we sort of adapted depending on what time we were going to arrive.
Yeah.
So we picked one. And essentially what we did is we went onto a website that has the map of the de-restricted Autobahns.
We plotted out 3 different routes,
that would take us basically north towards... Well, we were going to go to Bremen initially, but we ended up going towards Hanover and Berlin, and then basically looping down through the centre of Germany to Stuttgart, where was our desired destination. That was Joe's decision to go there, and an absolute masterstroke.
We took the car home. That was a nice feeling, actually.
Yeah.
The wonderful people at the Mercedes-Benz Museum were very accommodating, but we've got a video coming up on that as well. And the thing that stood out to me with this car is it never really got a break. It was, with the exception of being sat still on the Eurotunnel.
It begged us for a break when it burst that cooler.
That was.
And we gave it to it.
To be totally transparent, I think as inverted commas breakdowns go, you couldn't have got much luckier than that.
No,
in terms
I
of we didn't split the hose, the clamp was still on the hose, and we had enough coolant. And then that lovely German chap gave us a couple of bottles of water. We were back on the road in 15-20 minutes.
Yeah.
And I don't think as breakdowns go, you can get much better. Apart from maybe the Subaru, all they had to do was reattach a boost hose.
Yeah, I mean, we did have the oil light come on, which I'll probably put a clip in without the sound, as I did with the previous video. But even that wasn't well ending either. We sort of just pulled over, topped it up a little bit.
It was fine.
I actually don't think it was low on oil.
I don't think it was low on oil.
No,
when we dipped it wasn't.
I just think that road was basically, and I've got to have a shout out to Germany's roads. Unbelievable. Not that one.
Special.
That one was like a ploughed field.
Rocky.
That was like being back in England.
That one was particularly rough, and I think it was just.
It just upset the sensor.
Yeah, possibly, yeah.
Yeah, but it was fine.
It was low, particularly.
And let's be brutally honest. If the most you come away from after 24 hours of pounding on a car like that is a coolant hose coming off, which to be honest was largely my fault, and a phantom oil warning light that came on for a few seconds, and a phantom bulb warning light that went off after a few seconds.
That was really
so that's why I'm thinking it wasn't low on oil.
Yeah.
I'm thinking it was
possibly just dodgy electrics.
Well, the car is a wonderful car.
If that's all you get after 24 hours, that's not bad. That's not bad.
I mean, you think, yes, as you said, it really didn't have a break. The only time it ever really stopped was on the Eurotunnel when we were filling up with fuel, which I think was only 4 times.
Yeah, it was 3 or 4 times.
Yeah. And that was never for more
than
than 5
10
minutes.
We discovered that random car museum.
Yeah, that was very lucky.
That scored us some points.
Yeah, we went around. That montage you may have seen in the last video was actually cut quite a bit shorter than it could have been.
Because one of the challenges was to spot pre-2000 cars, and I think poor old Rich is really regretting that one.
Yeah.
Because I think that's why it took them so long to tot up the points, because it was just, that was monumental, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, even without the museum, we got
dozens.
Untold.
In the traffic going into Stuttgart. And this is the thing someone commented on our video. The Germans tend to look after their cars, and a lot of the time they won't replace it just because there's a new one out. They'll look after it, which means the last half an hour going to Stuttgart, Lucas has his hands out the window every 5 seconds, photographing a car to score us points. So shout out Germany, you look after your cars.
Yeah, it was unreal, but unbelievable.
In summary, for a car that, in broadly speaking, I'd serviced it and I'd had a look through it, but we hadn't stripped the thing down to its gaskets. Anything could have gone wrong on that trip, and we wouldn't have. You couldn't say it was unfair if it had. Had anything happened, but the fact it didn't, I think it proves how good this car is. Yeah. I think it was just epic. I mean, it was very frantic. We didn't get a lot of time to stop and sightsee, as you saw, but doing what we did, taking this car through Germany and doing what we did we got very lucky with the weather. We got very lucky with all the people we met, and the challenge just, I wouldn't say played into our hands, but a bit of careful planning went a long way.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And a lot of the other cars had some doubt behind them. Everyone assumed the Subaru would break down, the Skoda, no one thought it could do it. Everyone doubted the EV, the BYD. We've got to give a shout out to them.
Yeah,
they did over 800 miles in the UK.
I don't know how they managed that. They about equalled the Citroen.
The Citroen, yeah, exactly. And the BYD, they had I think they had 4 failed charging attempts.
Yeah.
They're like, well, they were nearly out of it.
And I think the Skoda did something like 1,060 miles, and the Subaru not far different. So, I mean, yes, when you consider that we're 200 miles extra on that is basically 3 hours driving, then we have done exceptionally well in this car, but they had a few delays and things like that.
Not to take it away from the other teams.
No,
absolutely not.
Ultimately, the thing is that the main goal was to raise money for Sophie's legacy, which we've done, and that was done fantastically. And after that, it was about the competition, which, when you actually break it down, as much as we have to commend the other teams and all their cars, this car and this team won.
Happy days.
Massively.
Yes, yeah. So what have we learned? I've learned I can't sleep in a car.
Yeah.
I've learned that, and again, this might sound slightly smug, but that I've been right to champion Mercedes all along. Yeah. I think it was the right call, and it comes to something. We've had this car on our stand this weekend. We've potentially got 2 people interested in buying it who are going to speak to us.
One after about 3 minutes.
Yeah, we barely opened the stand and someone said, "Is that for sale?" So this car, by the time you see this, it will be onto pastures new, I think, and whoever gets it will get a damn good car.
In any case, thank you ever so much for watching this. Thank you ever so much for watching the last video, because I don't know why you'd be watching this before watching
Slightly odd, but go on. Thanks for all the support for the channel and for Sophie's legacy and for Up and Down, Rich and everyone involved. Yeah. Thank you, it's incredible.
Fantastic.
But yes, so like, subscribe, comment, ring that bell if you want to see these videos as they come out, get a little notification. And in any case, we will be seeing you very soon indeed. Ta-ra.
Ta-ra.